uncomfortable with the program, and talking to the citizens of the town, people have suggested, is it possible that there be a fund, people pay additionally with their water bills, and there's a fund created, and people that are in financial need can access fund through vetting, through maybe something, I haven't talked to the Seton Center, obviously, that they can then say, okay, this person has that need, and then they can pull from that fund something a little bit more, that we don't have to get involved in this relationship. It feels like, and I don't really know what my position is on this, a slippery slope, having the government just too involved in this kind of thing. But I do see the other side, that there is a need. So I'm not feeling real settled with the program.
What's that?
Terrific.
Sounds like there's some kids up here.
Hang on, so they might have come back. So I don't
Well,
know.
what they tend to ride the elevator when the coaches aren't paying attention and throw Gatorade bottles down the stairs.
Oh,
Dear. All right.
regular
Physics
fund.
experiments.
Yes. As far as setting up a fund, that would be a question for our auditor, because I do not know how you would accomplish that at the government level when your water and sewer fund is an enterprise cash fund. There aren't pockets of money set up for things. It's like basically a big checkbook. So I don't know how you would accomplish that, setting up a fund. And that would be a question for our auditor and our accountant, but I do not believe it's possible.
There could be a budget piece created for this, where we would incrementally create a fund for this. That's a possibility. The means that's provided by the county, the grant program, and the senior rehab grant, those are the two separate items there. We could consider doing something parallel to that, but we could also build in language that would address the emergency need piece. The value of these programs that I see is they do offer a deferred payback and the zero interest piece. Now, zero interest is, often people look at that as somewhat, I'll use the term usurious, like taking advantage of a situation. However, if there's someone with a defined and real need, and I think that's who we're talking about, like limited income, fixed income individuals in town who don't have the means, were we able to create a fund like this, we would also be able to build in that emergency piece. The zero interest piece, there are models for that in other municipalities where they have other project money. So for example, in Brunswick, I don't know if they've passed it, but there was discussion, I think they passed it, where a person has to rehab their sidewalk in front of their property if there are certain
have that.
qualities not in place. And they're talking about a zero interest loan to do that in order to get it moving forward. So zero interest is something, that there are a couple ways we could do this, but again, as suggested, we would have to talk to our auditor, and we would also, as a board, have to look at it, very seriously. If
Plan on getting the government more involved. It's something like that.
Well, yes and no. I mean, we're meeting an emergency need. Okay, we've seen people come into the office or to the meetings where they've been pleading with us to, to have some means to, give them a break, and it hasn't been in our means, like within our town, to do it. But this might give them another option. And already if Frederick County is doing it, I think the model exists that we could use. So,
But you have to make it
I
under
would-
44,000.
I would caution you that we have our own failing infrastructure that we currently can't afford to pay for.
correct.
That if we need to fix to make sure that we continue to provide service to our residents.
Absolutely.
That if you that old adage, rob Peter, pay Paul. We go
Correct.
ahead and set up a fund to take care of those that are in need, but we're not taking care of our own infrastructure. In that way, then, we're helping one at the detriment to, you have 1,000+ water and sewer customers.
Sure.
Those would all be questions, for, like I said, for our auditor. I don't know necessarily that is the route that we would be able to go. Obviously Frederick County is
Sure,
a-
no, I'm not saying we have to, I'm just saying it would also bear, I think it would be useful investigation, I would just say it that way. Anybody else? I mean, if, you know, I'll just kind of throw in, it just feels to me that we would be essentially advertising for one company. I have a little concern about that. I don't understand why they're not able to just purchase a mailing list and contact everybody with their product, as opposed to having the town do that. Do you have?
I think their model wouldn't work unless they had a bunch of people into it. It's sort of like a co-op. If I'm, you know,
Sure,
any kind of
sure.
co-op, I need to have a bunch of customers for it to work. And so that's, I understand why they're doing that.
Okay. I'm not comfortable with that part of it. I don't like the idea. It just feels to me, despite the fact, you know, I get what Mr. Clapp is saying, the letter of the law, but I think the spirit of our behavior is, you know, that's way deep involved in the business. That's kind of my take on it. The other piece is the customer service component. The gentleman who was here last time, he didn't take the time to know who he was talking to. And he kept on referring to us as the city of Emmitsburg, the city. Here's what the city can do. And maybe he was informal and casual, but at the same time, if that's his level of attention in trying to endorse and sell the product, what's the level of attention once he, quote unquote, has us and has our people on board? Is he really going to be attentive to their needs? And that doesn't set the tone terribly well. The other piece was the increase. If I'm not mistaken, he said there could be an incremental increase annually based on their position of 3 to 5%. So that means that in 4 years, there's a 20% increase in the cost to somebody should they go to the 5% max out. And again, we're trying to meet the needs of those who, you know, have the most risk and the greatest need. I don't know if that's, you know, fair to put that in front of them temporarily and then yank it away because of the price point, you know, graduating upward. And, you know, I did get an email very strongly worded against it. I did hear the one gentleman who came in who, you know, seemed to be positive for it. I do agree there's a need for this type of product, but I don't like the presentation as the town partnering on it. And I especially don't care for the idea that we would profit from it or gain funding from it, so to speak.
Well, we don't have to do that.
You're correct, but just the fact that it's being offered just makes me feel profoundly uncomfortable. I mean, that just doesn't seem to me an appropriate action on our part. And you know, I could give you all sorts of silly analogies, but I'm not going to. But basically, that makes me uncomfortable also. So I am very much not in support of this product. I like the idea of it. I like the service to our citizens, but I don't like the means where the town is a partner and there's just something here that doesn't sit right with me.
We put out there to get responses from the community. Did we get any responses from the community?
No. And it was included in the newsletter and the water and sewer bill and everything, so no.
And you did a good job online. The website
This,
had the very
this is your
strong-
last chance to.
Yeah, Terry, last chance, last call, last,
I saw that.
Right.
so,
Now,
no.
there's still a large number of, because we have a, you know, older community of people also on very, very fixed incomes. There's still a large number of people that can't afford this program. So have we done any studies on that? I mean, do we have any information on
On what?
how many of our residents would be able to afford the program? I mean, I
No.
guess we can't do that, but something to think about.
You could look at an old census and get a sense of income bracketing, but I don't know how.
Because our Alice numbers are.
Yeah, I don't know how accurate that would be. And the other part is with I mean, if we're using the census numbers go to a regional approach. They don't necessarily go to the specifics of the town. It would be by zip code, if I remember correctly, talking to the census folks about something unrelated. So that would be a difficult survey to, like, I don't think you guys have it at your fingertips, as it were, so.
No.
Right, no. Okay.
I mean, and if they can't afford the program, there's the same people that can't afford to fix their repairs either,
Right.
so.
Right.
So, you can take your vote and let it ride.
Sure, okay. All right, any other thoughts, comments? Mr. Mayor, yes, sir.
Just really quickly, I think it really appeals to people who live in the old downtown. You've got newer infrastructure out where you are, and it's But like I mentioned last time, it did happen to me, and it cost $12,000 in January, and to find a plumber and somebody to do all that headache work, and it was difficult. And if it does go up 20%, you can just stop doing it the first year. It goes up 5%, say I'll stop. But it's up to you. It's just a service that came to us, and we don't know of any other companies that's involved in it. But we appreciate them making the presentation to us. And Tawnytown has it, and Thurmont is doing something with it, and we're kind of felt obligated to bring it to you as potential service to our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, anyone else? No?
Just half the people I've talked to are very passionate for it, and half are very passionate against it. So to represent the community as a Citizens Advisory Committee, it's right down the middle.
Wow, okay.
Well, they don't have to sign up for them, Commissioner Buckman, if
Yeah.
they're against it.
No, I don't, the people who are against it really just don't like the idea of us sponsoring.
I thought we worked through sponsoring. Did we just work that? I thought we said something about we're not really sponsoring it. Are we?
If we're using town letterhead, if we're giving them the mailing list, I mean, these are things that
Kind of looks like we're endorsing it.
it has
It has
the
that sort of
veneer, it has the veneer of
appeals,
endorsement.
Veneer of it, yeah.
Or the
I
veneer
agree.
of partnership.
And I did do some research, and I do apologize, I don't have the names, but there are other companies out there that offer the same services. If anyone's interested, all they have to do is do a little research. If they want to look at other companies and purchase such a program, it's comparable, even less. Most of them were less, you know. So now they might increase too. I mean, that business
Sure,
is business,
sure,
but
sure.
This particular program from the National League of Cities is not the only program that offers such a service.
I think the only reason we brought it to you because Tawnytown and Thurmont, we have some.
Because of it was in the MML
MML,
newsletter,
yeah,
is what
yeah.
originally started it.
MML's been extraordinarily good to the town of Evansburg over the years.
Yes.
I don't know why this matters to me, but did we pursue them or did they pursue us?
We pursued them. It was in the MML newsletter, and I reached out to them to get more information.
That sort of changes the psychology for me a little bit.
Put it to rest, gentlemen, ladies.
Okay, so, you're looking for an endorsement to pursue the plan?
A
From the
vote
board?
either way
Okay,
for the
all right.
plan.
All
If
right,
you don't have a motion, then you don't need a vote.
that's correct. So I'm looking for a motion in order to pursue the program.
There's no need one, there's not gonna be a consensus to vote for it to go through. So
We
I'm
can
making
vote to
a-
not have it and
I'm
just
not
put
vo-
it to
I'm not gonna
rest.
bring it up because it's not gonna go through. I think it's gonna be a big mistake for the town, but that's my 2 cents on it. I'm not gonna bring it up, so. We don't wanna.
Okay, so there's no motion for the item? Okay,
If there's no motion, does this come back?
it could. Sure, absolutely it could.
We're not bringing it back.
We don't
You're gonna have
anticipate,
to
okay.
direct staff to bring it back.
Yeah. Okay,
because I'm
sure,
tired
all right.
of it.
Yeah, Lisa, so-
Okay. Okay, so without a motion, we move on in our agenda.
Where's your rules of order book? I think there needs to be a vote, but that's,
Okay.
I don't have any concrete reason to
All
say
right.
that without my book in
That's
front of
with the
me.
motion, you don't need to make a motion if you're gonna bring it up, if you don't wanna take the vote. You have to, in order to vote, you need a motion. If nobody's gonna make a motion, then you can't vote.
I think the issue dies because if you don't
I
make
see
a
what
motion.
you're saying.
Yeah,
It
just
could die.
yeah, it just,
There are a couple things. I
I
mean,
would
I
make
see
the
what you're saying,
motion, believe
Commissioner
me, I would
Sweet.
make it, but it won't go through, so I'm not going to make it.
and the other side of it is, we can make the motion, it could be seconded, but the other side of it is, that would lead to, not lead to negatively, but there'd be the pursuit of any further discussion, we would have the discussion if there were a need,
Right.
and then we would have the vote. So, it can go one way or the other, but seeing as how there's no motion, it can occur in that direction also, so.
I have just
Yes,
one
ma'am,
more
sure,
question.
absolutely.
You made reference to that we have also aging infrastructure also. How does this program assist us as a town?
None.
Doesn't.
It's
Oh.
on the
It
budget.
doesn't, it doesn't.
Oh.
My point to that was, if you wanted to set a fund to help people's private lines, you're gonna take money away from money that you need to fix your aging infrastructure.
Fix the collective, the community.
Because fixing your infrastructure takes care of 1,000+ users as compared to helping one or maybe two.
Okay, I think it's safe to say the motion dies, is that fair? Okay, all right, the motion does die, all right, we press on. Okay, we now turn to, I believe, setting the agenda for our next meeting, January 8, 2017.
I just realized there was a typo. It's supposed to be 18.
Yes,
If you
it
look at
is.
yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry, did
January 8th, 2018.
I say 18th?
Yeah,
I'm
18.
sorry.
January 8th, 2018.
Oh, yes, yes, yes,
That-
yes.
that's just-
I see, I see. My apologies, all right.
We haven't made it there yet. It's hard
Yeah,
to.
it's,
right.
it's fair enough.
Make
It's-
that
it's-
I
jump.
thought you meant.
I know, no.
I thought you were saying January 18, I'm sorry.
No, it's-
Okay, so we will now turn to setting the agenda for the next meeting, January 8, 2018.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
terrific.
All right. For administrative business, I have for consideration the Catoctin Nets request for a 6K on Community Heritage Day. They have sent a letter changing their date, and they would like to participate in Community Heritage Day and have their 6K in the morning.
Great,
So moving it from April to Community Day.
Correct. And I have their
That's
letter,
awesome.
and I will present that at the next meeting for your approval.
okay. All right. So do we want that as administrative business or an agenda item?
It can be administrative business because you've already had the discussion about the route and everything like that. It's just a simple date change
And, I have a copy now.
of the letter.
Yeah, because, we have a meeting once a month, maybe they wanna come to a,
Okay. Yeah, they've also made some other requests of, for you as well.
okay.
A man in demand.
Yes.
Okay. Speaking to the board, is the board comfortable with this as an administrative item? Okay, very good, all right, thank you.
Okay. Okay, and actually, so moving to agenda items, I have the audit presentation by the auditors, Michelle Mills.
Okay,
Second agenda item will be budget transfers from general fund to capital projects fund related to this audit presentation.
okay.
Actually, you can strike related, just leave it as budget transfers from general fund to capital projects fund.
I'm sorry, from budget transfer from general fund to,
capital projects fund.
okay, is there a specific capital project we'll be discussing this transfer relates to?
We will. We'll have, I don't have the exact numbers yet. Basically,
Okay.
what it is the excess after the audit presentation, there's excess from general fund
Okay.
for the fiscal year 2017, money that has to be moved to capital projects. If you, as a board, have an item that you would like us to look at, please send me an email as we're gathering numbers. We do have to add money to the pool. We do have to add money to the dog park. There are a couple other streets and vehicles that need some funding as well.
Okay.
So, and then also the starting the fund for the vacation expense. But if you have certain items that you would like us to consider to add money to, please email me before that meeting, as I'm putting numbers together.
Okay,
And then finally, we have the emergency operations plan for consideration. Our emergency operations plan is required to be formally adopted every 4 years and reviewed every year. So it's time for a formal adoption and some minor changes to it. So I'll make that presentation for consideration.
terrific, okay. All right, so we have the audit presentation, we have a budget transfer item, we have the emergency operations plan, all items for consideration. These are voting items in the administrative business at this time. We have the Catoctin Nets and their request to allow a 6K to occur, and that's where we stand. Any other items from the board?
Not at this time.
I guess I need to email you. Conrad Weaver would like to continue with the Citizens Advisory Committee. Is that,
Email Ms. Shaw.
I'll email you.
Okay, all right. Any
That
other,
would go under consent agenda.
Terrific, okay.
Will we have a presentation from the planning and zoning? Will she have at the next meeting?
No. We're trying to keep it a little shorter since we're all coming off a holiday.
And we have an auditor coming.
Yes, the auditor will
Time
be
with
here.
that, yeah. 2 meetings, huh?
Your chair's slipping down, right?
And the emergency operations plan, that relates to,
Our emergency operations plan, the Town of Emmitsburg, emergency operations plan.
okay, so Mr. Blanchard goes all Al Haig on us. I'm in control
Okay,
here, right?
I'm in
No,
control.
no. All right, very good. Is there a motion to accept the set of agenda items as presented?
I'll make a motion to, what's the word?
Accept
Accept the agenda for the next meeting, January
8th, 2018.
2018.
Is there a second for the motion?
I'll second.
I'll second motion.
The motion's been made by Commissioner Buckman, it's been seconded by Commissioner Ritz. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries 5-0. Okay, we now turn to the end of the meeting. Any comments? Merry Christmas to
Merry
everybody.
Christmas, yeah.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
It's been a good year. Congratulations, our newly elected and re-elected scholars. Yes, and Mr. Mayor. All right, and staff, thank you all for all of your endeavors. And on that, I think we conclude our meeting. Is there a motion to conclude the meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Is there a sec- Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries 5-0. The meeting